Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name's Nicole, and today I'm going to be talking about my journey with IBS. If you don't know what IBS is, it is called irritable bowel syndrome, and pretty much what that is it's where you have extreme pain, gas, constipation, or diarrhea in your bowels, especially your colon. And I have the constipation type of IBS. I know that there's probably some technical term to call that, but yeah, I've been struggling a lot with it for the last 7 years. There would be times where I wouldn't have a bowel movement in an entire week, and it was really frustrating. I never wanted to use like laxatives or any kind of laxative thing to help me go, just because I didn't want to get consistently dependent on these pills. And my doctor told me to like increase my fiber, and I would eat 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day and like flax seeds and chia seeds, and nothing would work. I actually only really drink coffee to help me have bowel movements. I don't even really drink it in the morning for energy, and even then coffee wasn't even working. And so I did a whole bunch of research on how to fix my IBS. I also have extreme pain in my bowels. It's like, if you guys know what an Indian rug burn, where they kind of like twist your skin, it's like they're doing that on your colon. And I would like get so nauseous and dizzy that I would have to lay down because the pain was just so unbearable. And I think a big reason for that happening was just because I was so constipated all the time. My belly, if you haven't seen me in person, it is constantly like bloating out to where I look like I'm pregnant. And it's an embarrassing thing to have. I've never really talked about it openly besides with some of my friends and family, which is why I wanted to come out today and share with you guys my experience with it, in hopes that some of the things that I have done will help you too. And yeah, so let's dive into how I have treated it. So I self-treated my IBS without using laxatives, without using any kind of digestive pills or whatever. I did it all on my own, and I want to share with you guys how I did it. So my sister, I think she also suffers from some sort of IBS, and I noticed that she was taking a lot of these probiotic drinks. So she took this thing called Good Belly. It's sold at many of the main grocery stores, and it has millions of probiotics in those drinks. So I started out just buying those and having it with my breakfast every morning, and it helped a ton. I'm telling you, I mean, a ton. I didn't feel those constant pains in my colon, and although I couldn't really tell you if it helped me poop more, it did help me feel better. I didn't have that constant pain anymore. So including those probiotic drinks in the morning really helped for me. They even have like a probiotic cereal from Good Belly. It's kind of like these peanut butter Cheerios. I love to have that with some almond milk. I also started using a journal diary and taking note of things, what I would eat every day and how bad that would make me feel. So for example, I had this one day where I was drinking Diet Cokes, a lot of dairy, I had ice cream and milk, and it was like the worst my IBS has ever felt. And so I realized that my stomach was really sensitive to highly processed foods like Diet Coke and Cheetos and M&Ms. Things that aren't like naturally grown. And then I also realized that dairy really affects my bowels too, and it makes my farts smell really bad. And so I started to slowly eliminate those things and find out which foods I was sensitive to, and it really helped. I know some of you guys might be old-fashioned and prefer keeping a diary of the foods that upset your stomach, but I actually kept log on my MyFitnessPal. I've been using it for the last 5 years, and it's really helped me visually see everything I'm eating every day and take a mental note of what is really bothering my bowels. I noticed another thing that made me feel really good was including whole foods in my diet, so tons of vegetables and beans and lean meats. So I just increased my vegetable and fruit intake, and I feel significantly better, always. I just really tried to focus on those foods that made me feel good and what made my bowels feel good and what helped me release those bowels more than once a week, which now I'm up to about 3 to 4 times a week, which is pretty good for me. And just eating a lot of seeds, nuts, vegetables, fruits. I switched to almond milk to avoid dairy, and I've seen a really big improvement. The last 2 things that I want to share with you guys are, first off, I have found that fasting is very beneficial for my bowels. I tried to stop eating 3 hours before I go to bed because I don't want my bowels to be, working while I'm sleeping. I actually read from a doctor on Instagram. I'll try to link her name below. She was very helpful. She does this intermittent fasting, and she says that it's really, really great for your digestive system. Just because, it's always constantly working hard, and to give it a break, I think is a really good thing to do. I stopped eating 3 hours before I go to bed, and then in the morning, I won't have anything until 2 to 3 hours after I wake up. And I try to also get some exercise in too, like a small walk or some skating or even just a little bit of yoga and stretching. Before I have that breakfast, I noticed that helps a lot. And when your bowels are like empty and they're shedding all of that food and feces from what you've been putting in your body, I noticed that it feels a lot better. And so those evenings and mornings when I wake up and I have nothing in my colon, or like hardly anything, I'm not super constipated, I just feel so light and free. And then I'll have like a heavy lunch afterwards to make up for the calories that I didn't have for that breakfast. So yeah, intermittent fasting is by far, I think, the number one thing that helped cure my IBS. And lastly, doing a lot of exercise. The worst my IBS has ever been is the couple of months that I wasn't exercising. I had just broken my wrist. I was in bed rest for like 2 weeks just because it was a pretty rough surgery to recover from. So I wasn't exercising. I couldn't do the things that I loved. I was eating a lot. I was eating at weird hours. And yeah, it was horrible. I couldn't poop. Like I said, that Indian rug burn on my colon, it just felt horrible. I was super bloated. But as I started to exercise again, I started doing 30 minutes to an hour of either cardio or weightlifting, and especially things that you really enjoy, things that make you happy. I noticed that helps a lot too. Something that I forgot to add, which may also have helped apply to how my IBS is getting better, is that I discovered that I have pretty bad anxiety. And so I went to my doctor and he prescribed me Lexapro, which helps with anxiety. And I noticed that I started pooping like immediately, even before enforcing all these other things with Good Belly and changing my diet. Yeah. I think it was just like I was calm. I wasn't like worried all the time. I have so much cortisol stored up like in my gut that I think it really affected how I felt all the time. And so maybe meditating or realizing that you have anxiety, that might add to it, and just trying to help cure that and be more relaxed, I think could really help with that IBS. And so for those of you guys who are also struggling with IBS, please follow some of these tips that I've shared with you today and try to keep note of how you feel after each food that you eat and how often you go to the bathroom. Just start to mentally take note of things that are going in and out of your body and try to change those things to make it more frequent and better. And that is how I cured my own IBS. I did get a little bit of advice from some doctors and research online, but I honestly think that you can cure your own IBS just depending on how well you know your body and reacting to how you feel, not just ignoring all of those symptoms and signs. You can feel better. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say today. If you guys have any questions, please leave some comments below. I would be more than happy to help. And I will see you next time. Bye.